which you can clearly see is inspired by this right here. You even have this little indent going in the lights here. We've been waiting well over a decade now for Nissan to finally reveal the successor to the current Nissan Frontier. And they will do that. They've done that now for the 2022 model year. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about some of the spec and tech of the new Frontier and what's actually new in this truck. But not just that, we're going to talk about some of the design features here as well. I like the design of the new Frontier, but the really interesting thing here is that they really took a lot of inspiration from pretty much every single big brand American truck. Design cues from all the major brands from Ram, Chevy, and Ford, and then you just kind of melted together and created the Frontier. I'm going to point all of those design cues out to you, and maybe you can find some of your own when we go through this. Its predecessor sold pretty well, even though it was showing its age quite a bit, since it remained untouched for 16 years, which is a super long time for a truck. The new 2022 model still rides on the same frame from the early 2000s. However, there is a brand new, completely new suspension setup here, along with modern tech, obviously, and of course a brand new design, which we're going to focus on in this video. I'm going to show you the front, side, and the rear. The new Frontier gets the same naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 that we saw in the previous 2020 model. This engine generates 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with a 9-speed automatic. You can use this truck whether in rear-wheel drive or in all-wheel drive. And for the price, I think it's a pretty competitive price if you think about what you actually get and compare it to the rest of the market. This will start at about $29,000, which to me at least sounds like a pretty good deal. So let's jump in here and let's have a look at the design of the new Nissan Frontier here. Now Nissan is on a roll here. They're releasing a lot of new models. You have the new Armada, which was also a very old, ancient design, which has at least a new face. However, the rest of the body seems to be the same old Armada. And then you have the Frontier, of course, and last but not least, you have the Z Proto, or the Nissan Z, that's coming this year as well. I can't wait to see the production version of that. But what's really congruent with all these new designs here from Nissan is that it's a more chiseled design. Not just these models here, but then you have, for example, the Nissan Qashqai in Europe, and then you have the Nissan Rogue here. They all have this new chiseled front end, and I really like the looks of this thing. It looks very sharp compared to the previous model, and it looks very almost futuristic. It definitely looks a lot more modern than the 2020 model, but it even stretches a little bit into the futuristic space here. And it's a typical truck dimensions where you have the three boxes here. You have the box for the greenhouse, you have the box for the front right here, and then of course the bed box down here. So if you were to sketch this, it's a very easy truck to sketch. There's nothing crazy going on here, very traditional looks when it comes to the design. But have a look at this. So for example, we have a lot of different design cues here from a lot of different brands, and that's what's so interesting about this. You have some Chevy going on right here, which I'm going to show you in just a second. Chevy right here, and you have some Ford in the back here, and up front right here with this part you still have Chevy, but these headlights are definitely Ram 2019 Power Wagon, which I'm going to show in just a second here so you can compare the two. But first, let's have a look at the Silverado here, and let's see how much is actually carried over from the styling of the Silverado onto the new Frontier here. Don't get me wrong, I think the Frontier is a really good looking design, and I kind of admire the designers for putting all of these design cues and design identity, like brand design languages from these different brands, and combine it into one Frontier and still make it look like a very congruent design. So I applaud the designers of the Frontier. It's a great looking truck, but I just want to point these details out here. So first of all, what first really stood out to me is this part right here, which you can clearly see is inspired by this right here. You even have this little indent going in the lights here. So this pretty much very inspired by the Silverado down here. And then you have this handlebar right here as well, going down right here and creating this edge or cut line in separating kind of the bumper from the rest of the front fascia right here. It's a cool design. It looks really great, and as I said, it's chiseled, looks futuristic, and has a nice modern touch to it. On top of that though, if you look at this line right here on the Silverado, you have going from the headlights, then dipping down right here, and this part right here as well. Very, very traditional truck looking thing. And if we look at the Frontier here, we have the same kind of line right here. So look at this. We have this line and then dipping down, and then we have the same kind, almost same style in the bottom part there as well. What I love about the Silverado here is the continuity from the bed going into the greenhouse. That's usually not something that you see a lot when it comes to truck design, because the bed is pretty much separated from the rest of the design of the truck. But here you have a clear shoulder line going here, and I kind of like that. It's sharp edge. You don't really have that here. This is more of a maybe some Asian style truck. I can't really put my finger on which truck I'm thinking of right here with this sloping line right there, but it doesn't really connect with the rest of the body here, as you can see. But still, these parts right here, very inspired by the Silverado down here, obviously. And for the lights here, to me, looks almost like an identical version of the Ram Power Wagon from 2019. So let's pop that in here and let me show you what that looks like. So you can see here, I love these Ram lights. I think if the best designs now when it comes to the looks and the aesthetics of trucks, I think, is Ram at the moment. I love the front end of the Rams, specifically the new TRX with the very, very chiseled, very narrow looking front headlights, and you have the big grille and of course the hood scoop as well. It just comes together really tightly on the Ram packages. But you can see here, look at this headlight here and then look at the Frontier headlight. And you can definitely tell that this was probably the designers were maybe squinting a little bit and looking to the side over to what Ram is doing, and took some inspiration from this design right here and applied it onto the new Frontier. I can't blame them, because as I said, I think the Ram is one of the best looking front ends at the best looking trucks overall, proportion wise and everything. Styling, graphics when it comes to trucks. I think if I were to buy a truck today, it would probably be a Ram Rebel. So let's just have a look at the rear view here real quick. And I don't know about you, but when I saw this image here of the Frontier, I didn't think it was a Nissan. I thought it was a Ford F-150, 100%. And the reason for that is a couple of design cues, and then a couple of design cues, and then also a lot of graphic design that really almost looks exactly like a Ford F-150. I'm going to show you the F-150 here in a second. So we have, for example, the main F-150 style of the greenhouse is this dip right here. If you've noticed, Ford F-150, they always have this dip. I can't remember how far they go back with this specific design feature, but it's a really functional one, because if you as a driver sit in here and you want to look down where your wheels are going, you have more window space down here, and this added window space in the bottom creates it gives you a better angle to look down out from the driver's seat. So it has a function to it. But however, when I drive Ford F-150s, I always feel like I sit super high just because the window line is so low. But other than that, look at the taillights here. This is almost like a copy of the F-150. And now when we go into the graphics here and the curvatures and the creases on the tail, you're definitely going to see how much alike it is to a Ford F-150. So let's pop in the F-150 right here. And as I said, have a look at this window line right here. Right here we have this traditional, almost trademarked for Ford F-150, this dip right here in the front section of the greenhouse. And look in the rear here. So this is what I want to bring your attention to. Let's erase these and let's do this all again so you can clearly see and put it in green. So you have this line right here on the Frontier. You have this line right here, and then you have sort of a line that goes something like this. And look at the Ford. You have the same kind of dip right here, and then you have the same kind of line in the bottom here as well as the Frontier. And the bumper, pretty much the same. I know the bumpers here, they come from a separate supplier to all these truck manufacturers. The truck manufacturers, they don't design the bumpers themselves. They outsource the bumper designs and apply it onto their trucks. So that's kind of one of the reasons, I guess, why all truck and van bumpers look the same, because they all pretty much come from the same supplier. So this is just what I want to show you with the Frontier. As I said, I think it's a great looking design. It takes a lot of inspiration from all these different brands. You even have this little kink down here is the same as the F-150, and the rear window has the same structure with the same kind of features right here as well as the F-150. So, and of course the taillight. Look at that F-150 compared to this. All that's missing here is just that it connects right here. This is like a mix between the F-150 taillight and the Silverado taillights. Anyway, interesting little analysis of the new Nissan Frontier. I can't wait to see the new Nissan designs out on the road. Since I said I like the chiseled, futuristic design and approach, design language that Nissan is doing right now, and I think they're doing a great job overall with their current lineup.